Welcome to another Hammer Networking video. In this video, we're going to be talking about which radio, more specifically say amateur radio, is best for you. A new ham or your ham that's looking to get into a new aspect of ham radio, stay with this video. Here is a website that I'm going to be linking. It's part of my digital youth group that I am currently vice president for, and this has a bunch of recommended radios that I have seen a bunch of YouTube videos on, so I can highly recommend them, or they're radios that I personally used. Now, if I take a look at my plans here, the first question, so I have three different options here. You don't not mind the digital sound, and you don't mind using amateur radio over the internet. You like local traffic. There's not a whole bunch of static, but there might be a little bit of it. And if you don't mind the fact that you might not be reaching out super extreme far distances. And then we have another question is, are you fine with a lot of noise and also with a bunch of static and stuff like that, but you're also not using the internet and you're talking all around the world in those circumstances? First thing we're going to be talking about is the digital. So you have two choices for digital. So you're going to have to ask your question. You're going to have to ask yourself, okay, the three choices are, well, you can use the internet if you want to, but you will be transmitting over RF if you have one of these radios or similar radios that use digital. Or are you okay with spending less money with your budget and using local repeaters? Because you're going to be wanting repeaters as well. So I'm going to pull up the repeater book. So let's start with analog. What analog activity do you have in your area? So basically you just go here to the repeater book. All these things will be, scroll down, you pick your state. And then you go down, and I highly recommend you do county. And you see that there's two repeaters in an area that's somewhat close to me. We got this FM Fusion Wires X 146.79, which is a repeater here. And also, you want to check this. And if you only have maybe one or two repeaters, it might not be the best thing to use analog, because first off, you might not be able to hit those repeaters, and second, there might not be any activity on there. So if you're like that person who doesn't have any repeaters in your area, or you have very little repeaters that's not active, and you should do a bunch of research about repeaters in your area if you do have repeaters, your next best option with a technician license anyways is doing digital, which would be doing something like this with these kind of radios. The budget, usually if you get on the digital mobile radio DMR, which is super easy, that's going to cost you around $315 for a really good radio like the Anytone. Or you could go cheaper with like $120 with TYT MD380, but you're not getting the full benefit of DMR. You're not getting all the contacts listed on it, and it's just not as user-friendly as something like the Anytone radio. Now, YSF, let's go back to this website. Yaesu System Fusion is a really good mode. It's a little bit complicated, more than DMR, but it's still really nice. That's my favorite digital mode, overall anyways. And something like a Yaesu FT70D is only going to cost you around $200. Now, these are hard to find, but you can also find them used for just about the same price as brand new, and the reason why is because people really love these radios, and these are really, really good radios for getting on digital. Or you could get some Yaesu FT5D, which looks very similar to this radio. It has all nice kind of bells and whistles. Has a really nice screen, really nice menu, stuff like that. And you can also look in your area for WiseX repeaters and Yaesu System Fusion repeaters. And if you don't have that, then you could get a hotspot, which they run for about $180. The hotspot that I have is this one right here. rsync MMDVM right there. You can get something like upgraded duplex hotspot, which would be pretty nice to have duplex. I'd recommend that more than this. And you can also get something from Bridgecom. But it cost a lot of money at Bridgecom, and they, in my opinion, they're just a ripoff. So let's compare the analog to the digital. With digital modes, if you have an internet connection, you could talk to people all around the world on RF, and you'd have a little bit of a digital sound, and it would cost you a decent bit. Now, if you could get something like a Baofeng UV5R, or something like a TYT TH-UV88 radio, and you have local repeaters in the area, you could talk for just $30 with a Baofeng. They're about $22 off of Amazon, and do that. And so let's think here. Maybe you want to talk the old-fashioned way, or the most radio way, but you're still talking around the world, which is one of the best things to do. And you have two options: HF QRP and HF 100 watt. Now, I do not recommend QRP radio, because HF is hard as it's hard on its own, let alone QRP. But if you really wanted to do QRP, which I do not recommend it, and most people do not recommend getting on QRP, you can get a true SDX radio. There's places where you can get that. There's a Yaesu 6100, which is a 10 watt radio, which is a pretty good one from what I've heard off of YouTube. ICOM 705, which does multiple pretty cool setup. It's just very expensive. With HF, unless you buy something used, like an ICOM IC 718 on eBay for like, I don't know the prices of these, but usually you're not going to get a really nice HF radio to talk to people all around the world with 100 watts and wire without over $400 most of the time, unless you find a really good deal on a really good product. So you need to think about, do you have analog traffic in your area with just $30? And if so, if you're a beginner, highly recommend you start with that. Now, if you question about digital modes, if you want that, there's something called the Brandmeister hose line. So if we pull up the Brandmeister hose line, you will be able to listen to traffic. So if I can click here, and now there's activity on Worldwide 91 here that's playing through, and you can also listen to all kinds of really nice, like this Poland here, TAC 319. This is the whole entire Brandmeister network it's the whole entire Brandmeister network where you can listen to. And if you really like what people talk about and you could talk to them, you can get DMR radio and get on the Brandmeister network. And YSF is it's very similar. Finding the places to talk to people all around the world is a little bit harder though. But overall, I think YSF is a better community when it comes to how it works and what people do with it. And if you have a big budget and want to take that little bit extra challenge and talk to people all around the world, making DX contacts and doing all kinds of cool things, you could get an HF rig, and ICOM 7300s are one of the best for it only being this price. It can do 100 watts. It's got a really nice scope. Or you could go all in and spend $1,000 on some really crazy overkill HF radio if you ever would need it. Anyways, I hope this helped you. If you have any questions, feel free to join the Discord server. I'll have it linked down below where you can ask people questions on how they have done stuff. Just leave a comment if you don't have Discord and you want to know which radio I would recommend to you, or some other people recommend to you as well. Anyways, Colin Key0 on K, like, subscribe, and we'll talk to you later.